Hello everyone, welcome to the DraftKings Daily Trot. As you know, I am Big Italy 42, here to talk about everything DraftKings for today. We have three separate slates, if you want to put it that way. We've got an early slate with 6 games, we've got a late slate with 3 games, and then we've got some all-day slates. So a lot of great contests at DraftKings. I'm not going to waste your time here. It's early. You got a 12:35 lock time, so I'm going to go ahead and dive right into things here. I'm going to go with a game-by-game here. So what you've got starting off, your first game is going to be Pittsburgh at Cincinnati, kicking off at 12:35. A.J. Burnett versus Anthony DeScalfini. If you're looking for a tournament pitcher, DeScalfini is a guy who's got some upside. Not a great matchup against a Pittsburgh team that really likes to mash righties. One of the better hitting teams against right-handed pitching last season, and I don't expect much different this year. So Pittsburgh makes for an interesting stack. I mean, you've got some hitters like Andrew McCutchen, really pricey at $5,300 today. Other guys in play, you've got your Josh Harrison, your Neil Walker, both those guys with dual eligibility. Harrison at third base and outfield, Walker at second base and third base. So both those guys in play for me. But on this one, not a game I'm targeting a ton. 7.5 run total is down from 8. But we've seen Burnett at times be dominant. We've seen the Reds' offense disappear at times. And DeScalfini, not a guy that I'm going out of my way to pick on. I'm not saying that he's going to have a great game, but this spread is very close for a reason. The kid does have some talent. So not a game that I'm heavily targeting, but I'll get to a few of those that I will be here in a minute. Next up, the Mets at Washington. And this is the game where you want to get your pitcher. And it's an easy one here. You've got Steven Strasburg, 10,500 versus Matt Harvey, 8,800. We know the upside that Harvey possesses. We know Steven Strasburg at home. That's where you want to play him. Mets have beefed up that lineup a little bit, but still not an elite lineup. I'm not concerned on either side. I will not be touching a single hitter here, but I do love Strasburg and Harvey, and I don't mind pairing both of them in a tournament because I do think they'll both be the top options on the slate. I think this will be a very low-scoring game, and both guys in line to have themselves a nice day. So I'm not going, like I said, anywhere near any of these hitters. Both these guys, the top 2 options on the slate, and both should dominate. Next up, Minnesota at Detroit here. We've got Shane Green, the biggest favorite on the day, sitting at just $6,000. So I'm a big fan of Shane Green, assuming that the weather is fine. Some concerns, maybe this game gets delayed. But Shane Green had himself a fine season last year with the Yankees. This is his first start, obviously, in Detroit. But at that price tag, I don't mind pairing him with Harvey or Strasburg. Maybe alternate both those guys if you want to stack some hitters in some lineups. And Kyle Gibson, only $400 cheaper. Not a chance I'm touching him against Detroit. They roughed him up a few times last year, and that's what I expect again today. So with that being said, the Tigers going to be the most popular stack, of course. No surprise there. You've got your Miguel Cabrera, Victor Martinez. Martinez at $4,500. Don't mind his price. You could play Miguel at third if you'd like. Cespedes in play at $4,500. JD Martinez at $44,000. Kinsler at $43,000. So all these guys expensive, of course, but at the same time, you got significant upside in a great matchup with all these guys. If you want to go cheap, Kenneth Vargas, $3,800 at first base. Don't mind playing him against Shane Green. You like that upside, of course, on a short slate. You're going to need to have some power in your lineup, and he provides that at a discounted price. Nick Castellanos, not a bad cheap play. Third base or outfield at $3,700. And outside of that, really just everyone in play for the Tigers. Check out that lineup, see where they're all at. It's not out yet. It's 9 o'clock in the morning here Eastern time, but should be out here pretty soon. White Sox at Kansas City here. And this is one of the games you're really going to be wanting to target. 8.5 run total here. And Kansas City a small favorite, but Edison Volquez versus John Danks. It doesn't inspire any confidence. Not playing either one of these pitchers, not even considering it. Neither guy with a ton of upside. Kansas City does not strike out. In fact, I believe they were the lowest strikeout rate in the league last year. So in this one, you're going to be targeting hitters. And that's going to start with Jose Abreu up top at $4,900. Guy had monster rookie year last year, big-time spring, and he's off to a good start here. So I do like Jose Abreu quite a bit. And you got Adam LaRoche, probably batting around 6th in the lineup like he was last time. He's at $4,300. He's got some power as well. On the Kansas City side, you've got guys like Lorenzo Cain at $4,000. He had a nice night last night. He's a good combination of power and speed. Avisel Garcia, and he's sitting at $3,900. Adam Eaton should be leading off at $38,000. Don't mind him either. And, I mean, outside of that, really, once again, just look at the lineup. construction, and this is a great game to stack. I'll probably have a few stacks of both sides of this one with that high total. Next up, Cleveland at Houston, and Trevor Bauer first. I tried to say this in the last podcast. I'm not sure. Asher Wojciechowski is how I'm going to say that one. Making his first career start at $4,900. If you want to take a crazy flyer in a tournament, you go right ahead, but I'm not doing that. Cleveland hits right-handed pitching very well, struggles against lefties. And Trevor Bauer, the volatile option of the day at 7,200. He's got some great upside, but he's also wild, walks a lot of batters, gives up a lot of base runners. So if he's got it going today, you like that spot against a Houston lineup that likes to strike out a lot. But at the same time, keep in mind, I wouldn't play him in a cash game. I just don't trust his inconsistencies. You've got a guy like Michael Brantley here who they're hopeful. Frank Cohen is hopeful he'll play today. Monitor that, see if he's in the lineup. If he is, I like him a lot. George Springer is going to be my favorite target from Houston at $4,600. He's got a huge upside. He's got a little bit of speed. Love him today as well. Carlos Santana hit his first dong of the year last night. He's sitting at $4,300. You can play him at first base or catcher. Probably at catcher for me. Not a lot of catchers I like on the early slate. And then you've got the other obvious options. I mean, Evan Gattis with some big upside. You've got Jason Kipnis at $4,300. Really a lot of options in this one. Michael Bourne, if you want to get yourself some speed, he's sitting at $3,800. So I really like both sides of this one. Bauer only in tournaments for me, but I don't mind stacking both sides. Texas at Oakland here. We've got Kendall Graveman, another guy making his first career start. He's a solid favorite here, minus 145. Sitting at just $5,100. So against Nick Martinez, a guy who we've seen get throttled at times last year. And, you know, you've got Kendall Graveman facing off basically against Adrian Beltre, Prince Fielder, and everyone else. No one else in this Texas lineup inspires, strikes much fear into the heart of an opposing pitcher. It's a really weak lineup that struggled last year. Haven't really got it going yet this year either. So I don't mind targeting them with Graveman in a tournament. Don't know that I'd play him in a cash game this early, but it's not a bad matchup. Maybe you could pair him with one of your studs in a tournament and maybe get yourself some big bats in your lineup. And if you are playing tournaments, of course, Beltre and Fielder both in play. I prefer Beltre. He's just a better hitter. And Kendall Graveman, I mean, it really remains to be seen what Kendall Graveman's going to do. But at $5,100, I mean, you've got yourself a solid favorite, so you don't mind that at all. Obviously, Beltre mashes lefties. He's fine against righties, much better against lefties, though. So on the Oakland side, all the guys in play. Ben Zobrist is still pretty cheap at $4,100. I don't mind him at all. You've got Billy Butler's got some power. Marcus Semien if he's batting up higher in the order. So really all of those guys in play there. And with that, that is the wrap for the early slate. We've got a late slate here as well that I'm going to go ahead and kick off. And for this one, I don't think I'll be playing many cash games in the late slate. Not a lot of options I really like at pitcher. Your most expensive option on the day is going to be CC Sabathia in Toronto at New York. He's $8,700. I'm going to need to see a start or two out of Sabathia before I'm going to roster him, especially in a cash game, and especially against Toronto with that short porch in right field at Yankee Stadium. So for me, this is a stack game. Daniel Norris, an interesting prospect, $6,000. He's got some upside. Maybe target him in a couple tournaments, but your obvious suspects in play here. Encarnacion, 5K. Bautista at 5K. You've got your guys on the Yankees side. Your Ellsbury, $4,600. He's got your obvious power and speed duo there. Really going to just depend on where the lineup construction is in this one. But I really will be stacking this one pretty heavily tonight. And I don't see any way around it. I mean, a 3-game slate, you're going to need to have some power. You're going to need some stacks. Really not that hard to stack every game. This one does have the highest total at 8 runs. So next game up, we have San Francisco at San Diego. Just a 7-run total here. 2 fine pitchers, but risky. Tim Hudson had himself a fine year last year. He never really implodes. He'll usually pitch deep in the game, but not a high strikeout guy. But at $6,200, you don't mind him today in this spot. Unfortunately, he is a small underdog to Ian Kennedy, but a pitcher's park. And Ian Kennedy's biggest weakness, giving up the long ball. So you really don't mind targeting him here. You just hope that he can kind of keep the ball in the ballpark against this San Francisco lineup, which is missing Hunter Pence. And Brandon Belts remains to be seen whether or not he's going to play or not. They're trying to avoid him moving to the DL. So wait and see if he's in the lineup. If he's not in the lineup, I don't mind Ian Kennedy in some tournaments there at $7,800. If you had to have a cash game pick, it would be either him or Justin Masterson, who's sitting at $6,700 against a bad Phillies lineup. And great ground ball pitcher, struggles with too many base runners, so that's concerning a little bit. But against David Buchanan, I'm not concerned, and I will definitely be playing some Boston bats. I like that stack as well. Hanley Ramirez threw up a dud for us last night, but in a good spot against Buchanan today. He's at 4,800. You can play him at shortstop, which will be a very popular play tonight, I would imagine, at a weak shortstop position on a short slate. You got your David Ortiz, assuming that he's in the lineup, in play at $4,500. Really just all these guys. Dustin Pedroia is still pretty cheap at $4,000 against a weak righty. And on the Philly side, I don't know that I'll be stacking against Masterson. I don't mind playing a couple bats, but I do think he's one of the safer options on the slate tonight. And at minus 145, he's the biggest favorite. So, and it's significant. I mean, he's by far the biggest favorite, Ian Kennedy being second. So I think Masterson's the way to go. If you have to play cash games on DraftKings, I'd go with the Kennedy-Masterson duo and just kind of move on from there. I don't think that's a bad way to go at all. And with that, that's going to wrap up the short DraftKings Daily Trot today. If you got any questions or anything, hit me up on Twitter at BigItaly42. Be more than willing to help you out with that. And check out all the great content we have at dailyfantasycafe.com. We will see you tomorrow for another big slate on Friday.